us more whilst we're enjoying them, I'd like to welcome Imogen and Scott.
So, thanks for the introduction. Imogen and I, we're delighted to be here in Manchester today, which we know is the home of all of the best music in the world, including Northern Soul, which was a movement that took timeless classics and gave the people a platform to really fall in love with them, to fall in love with them. Now, fast forward today, there's a new generation discovering Northern Soul, and that's something we feel we needed to do. We have a story which is very similar with a brand that's British, iconic, and loved by generations. You might also discover a little bit Northern Soul by the amount of crap puns I have in there on song titles, but there we go.
If anyone spots the number of song titles that Scott manages to get into his presentation, see him at the end and you can win a lifetime supply. He didn't promise that, sorry.
Maybe. Depends how old you are. So, yes, we are talking about the humble Jammie Dodger.
This is the story of how we helped a nearly 70-year-old brand stay young at heart. But this is Madfest, and we are all about mischief, so we cannot possibly tell the story without having a little bit more fun. So welcome to the Jammie Dodger and McCann School of Mischief. So we're going to start with a little bit of a history lesson. So Jammie Dodgers actually hit the shelves back in the 60s, as Paddy McGuinness revealed to the nation on a recent episode of Inside the Factory.
They're called Jammie Dodgers.
Well, Roger the Dodger, who was in the Beano magazine,
He used to read Beano when I was a kid.
he was always up to mischief, okay? And he was always managing to be jammy enough to get himself out of sticky situations.
So someone at the biscuit factory went, that's a bit of inspiration, they were like that, and they formed a biscuit on the strength of that comic.
Absolutely.
I feel like Paddy would have been a brilliant teacher at school. But the brand very much channeled that Beano personality. You can see it from the kind of gorgeous first ads that they were making. They very much channeled that mischief that they started with in Beano from Roger the Dodger. And ever since, they have been a complete staple in everything from your nan's biscuit barrel to popular culture. In fact, if anyone remembers this, Doctor Who even once saved the world with one.
Wait. I wouldn't if I were you. Can't self-destruct. You know what that means? My ship goes, you all go with it.
You would not use such a device.
Oh, it's a Jammie Dodger, but I was promised tea.
Gorgeous. So it's been a huge part of our culture growing up, and it absolutely has long been a British icon.
But Jammie Dodgers have been off air for 10 years. We had a lot of research. We had loads of prompted awareness. People know us, but our top of mind awareness, super low. We knew we had a problem with saliency, so we needed to act before it was too late. And things were getting challenging. There was a cost of living crisis that was starting to bite. Inflation was rocketing. People were switching to private label products to save money. Even if you were paying attention, Dr. Bloody Who was switching to private label to save money. And Britain's tastes were changing. So amongst our target parents, actually they were going for chocolate biscuits. Jam was no longer their jam, right? So Imogen, when I look back at this, I think, oh, it really hurts me, girl.
I am dying to know who spotted how many we are in yet with song lyrics. But that takes us to our first lesson, and that is that affection does not equal consideration. I really wanted a blackboard for this bit, but we're going to have to make do with this giant screen instead.
Just write on it.
I feel like I'm going to write on this. Fine. But basically, we had a saliency problem. So for brands to be successful, there needs to be three things: noticed, liked, and crucially remembered for something. And Jammie was liked, it was loved, it was like it had a massive place in people's hearts, but it wasn't enough. Unless you're top of mind in the biscuit aisle, you've got no place in their basket.
And we had a punchy target to meet. We always have punchy targets. In our first year, we need to deliver an extra 6 million of sales, a 20% increase. So that meant we had to defend our value to our customers. We had to get our consumers to see why we were relevant again. We had to change those tastes back from chocolate to jam. We needed to be big, we needed to be bold, and we really needed to be remembered for something, which for us was mischief.
But I'm sure you've probably seen this slide already at some point today. I'm sorry if you haven't. It's go and look it up, The Power of Creative Consistency and Compound Creativity, which was published by IPA and System 1. We needed to move Jammie on, but we couldn't risk moving it off. This line here is the brands that don't that keep chopping and changing. If you're in PG Tips, she was just talking about that beautifully. This brand here is the one that uses consistency. So we need to move them on, but we couldn't risk moving it off. So we still need to show up as ourselves. And the problem with that is, as with all heritage brands, people feel really emotional about them. You feel quite a lot of ownership over something that you've grown up with and lived with for all those years. You probably got it, your nan's got it in the cupboard. So it can get quite subjective and quite personal if you're not careful. The conversation about what you keep, what you reinvent. So we needed to separate our jammy hearts from our heads, and we needed to get to the truth. So pick up your scalpels, it is time for science class. So we used research to really dissect the brand, to find out what people knew and still loved about Jammie Dodger. And there was still really strong latent strength in the brand codes. People could speak to them really confidently. They pulled out the jammy heart, the gorgeous red colour, they knew about the vibrant red colour, the jam splats and the jam splodges, the bubble writing and the cartoon. So there were loads of these codes that were really clearly still distinctive and ownable for the brand, that were still recognisable. But the best thing for us was Mischief was still very much in our DNA and also in the DBAs. People talked about the cheeky personality, the bold tone, the funny bits on the part. They still very much saw us as a mischievous brand, so that was great for us. And even better was it really set us apart from the competition, because when we started to look at the category and look at what everyone else was doing in kind of brands similar to us or adjacent to us, there were kind of two spaces people were playing in. And the first one was very much fun. There's very much in the biscuit category, certainly. And this is one of our brands. We very much already have a brand in the category of fun, which is Maryland, so we weren't going over there. But the other place kind of brands play here, and obviously this is adjacent, but still speaking to a very similar audience with Dairy Lee, they were kind of aiming for relevance by speaking to more modern parenting concerns. There were things that I'm a parent, I've got 2 kids, all these things are top of my mind. Anxiety over screen time, free-range parenting, helicopter parenting, there's something new every week parenting. Getting it right is really hard. So they were kind of tapping into that to aim for more relevance with modern parents. With that comes with its own challenges, right? It can feel a tiny little bit judgmental, possibly. It's really hard. But this was good news for us, because it meant that nobody was doing Mischief. So for us, Mischief was our jam, and we were able to stick with it. It felt ownable, it felt distinctive, it's inherently linked to us, and it was where we were going to keep playing.
So, lesson 2, the importance of uncovering the truth about your brand. We need to work out what's timeless, what needs to be retained and revitalized, but also what's old and should be just got rid of. So far, so simple, nothing you don't know. But we started to dig a little bit further into Mischief and get under the skin of that research, and we discovered a pretty sticky tension.
I think you could probably also count the jam puns in this presentation, so I do apologise. But the truth is, parents have a really sticky relationship with Mischief. And namely that, to be honest, there is a thin, subjective and highly personal line between Mischief and naughtiness. So this is my daughter, she is 3. When Mischief tips into naughtiness and messiness, we have a bit of a visceral reaction to it. It's hard. I very rarely work from home, and this is the reason why. I had 2 minutes to do a phone call, my husband had gone on the school run, and this is what happened. She decorated my entire house with a paint pen, and I'm a big fan of the creative pipeline talent, but not on my walls. So when you tip into that, it's a real problem. It completely turns parents off. So as a brand, we want to own Mischief, but we've got to find the right type of Mischief, because it ain't that one. But the unlock came when we really started to dig deeper into parenting and what the consumer was feeling and thinking about it these days. And we uncovered just how much it had changed from the kind of previous experience of generations. So these are from our Truth About Modern Families study, which comes from McCann Truth Central, our intelligence service. And we were hearing things like this. The days of the parents being held as always right because I said so are waning. Children are now considered companions and confidants. This was something that we're hearing all the time, that parents of today had really different values and beliefs than their parents or parents of a generation before them. They're much less, our modern parents are much less interested in instilling obedience, for example, and they're much more into kind of inspiring imagination, self-expression. So they wanted a relationship with their children that was actually a lot closer and less authoritarian. The parenting in the Beano, which was very strict and was punishing that kind of mischievous behaviour, parents didn't want this anymore, thank God. They wanted to be in on the action and part of the fun. So, put simply, they wanted to be less Beano and more Bluey. They wanted more Mischief in their lives. It wasn't that they didn't want it, we just had to get the type of Mischief right. They want more of it, but they want in on the action. They want to be in it together with their kids. They don't want to be the fun police. They want to be their kids' partners in crime. And that was really exciting for us when that unlock came, because from that unlock came the really exciting big idea that we got to. Which brings us to our third learning. The best truths hurt, because as soon as we'd uncovered this tension that we're a brand that stands for Mischief, it's an ownable area, we're already associated with it, brilliant, all of a sudden you're hit in the face with, oh, parents are a bit funny about Mischief, don't get that wrong, because your brand will be cancelled. That's a problem, and that's quite an uncomfortable truth to have to talk about, not least with your client. But that is exactly where the best ideas can be found, those uncomfortable truths that you don't want to maybe look at or talk to or might want to pretend aren't happening. That's where the good stuff comes from. That's what is going to make you probably unmissable, unignorable, and unforgettable. So, the best truths hurt. So, we'd found our most vital ingredient, our truth, but we still had a very big job to do and a very big target to hit, which calls for a big idea. And our idea was just that. It was jam-packed with mischief. This was an idea that was big enough and bold enough and single-minded enough to be able to keep activating against it. It wasn't just one campaign, it wasn't a one-off, it wasn't just one ad. As we said, we don't need to tell you guys about how important it is that you have a big idea that doesn't just work in one channel. It was big enough to spread mischief to every corner of Britain and every touch point that you can think of. So to make sure, again, that Jammies were noticed, liked and remembered for something. So we burst back onto the nation's screens after 10 years. And it was demonstrating that gorgeous, shared, more modern type of mischief.
Jammie Dodgers, jam-packed with mischief.
And when we're talking about shared mischief, it was really important to us that we were sharing the mischief with everybody. So Jammie Dodgers and the guys at FBC were the first to sign up for our Alt by Default initiative at McCann, which is with the ambition of which is to make audio description a non-negotiable. Basically, it's an optional add-on at the end at the moment, but we're making a standard feature in advertising. That's our aim. And Jammie was the first brand to sign on. And because we bake it into the creative process from the start, it's less of a functional add-on, it's less of a functional description. It can really bring to life the feeling of shared mischief for everyone.
As Imogen said, a big idea is a lot more than a TV copy. What we wanted to do, we really wanted to help our consumers, our parents, get in on the mischievous action. So we ran an on-pack promotion with Nerf, and I think the guys from Hasbro are here today. We'll come and see you afterwards. Where we gave away 100 water pistols a day for the 100 days of summer. So I know real consumer insight in action here. What Mancunian parents really want is to get wet a little bit more over summer. But, you know, we have a whole country to deal with as well. For us, it was a great way to bring Jam Pack with Mischief to life. So the trade absolutely loved it. They gave us tons of space in store. Parents absolutely loved it. It was the most entries, the most engagement we've had with a consumer promotion ever. And really importantly for us to say, it is only ever parents that we speak to as well. This is where we had to win. And of course, clearly the kids loved it, right? Because what kid doesn't love shooting their little brother or sister or their dad in the face with a water pistol? It was a triple win. So we didn't only partner with Nerf. Lots of times through the year that we could do. We ran with Elf on the Shelf brand at Christmas, another brand synonymous with Mischief, answering a bit of a consumer insight. Oh my God, where the fuck do I put the bloody elf today? And we ran both of those campaigns with a real cheeky influencer as well, Joe Swash. So now it's like I look back on this, the days we could work with influencers, but now we're into a new world.
I'm just hoping there's no kids in the audience, because not for the swearing, you've just told people that we moved the elf.
There are no kids in the audience, it's fine. It's all right, don't worry. But first and most importantly, let's not forget the hero of this itself, the Jammie Dodger. Now, if I'm going to stand up here and we're going to proclaim to the nation that this is a brand that's jam-packed with mischief, we need to be really confident in the product. And we'd done some research before this relaunch, and actually the jam had become a little bit of a sticking point. Maybe it wasn't fruity enough, people thought there wasn't enough of it. It was almost a tainted love, and I'm so disappointed because that song has literally just finished playing over there. We were like 20 seconds from being perfect. So we spent a lot of time working on the recipe, and we gave people what they wanted. It was a fruitier eat in terms of flavour and texture. We packed the jam full of natural fruits.
It's got a big cheer for your jam announcement then.
Yeah,
If you've all
exactly.
got your headphones on, you
That
can't
always
hear it.
happens. But it's actually now so fruity that we could even show the fruit on the packs as well. So you saw where we were at the start. And we've doubled down on the visual identity, much more modern, keeping all of that cartoon style, but introducing the real fruit, which is there, which is a great support for parents. In fact, you know, we use this across loads of channels, but I love this one, just a little bit of fun. Even using our trucks to deliver some Mischief on the motorways everywhere they went.
And this is what really excites me, because our fourth lesson is big ideas rule, and to gain that saliency that we needed to be liked, noticed and remembered for something, we're really important that we were consistent, that we consistently delivered one message, that we told one story and kept activating against that one big idea, which means activating everywhere. And you don't know you've got something when you can do everything from a TV ad to shopper to on-pack to partnerships to a truck on the motorway. That's when you know that you've got something. And that is what Truth Well Told is all about. That's our philosophy here at McCann. And as Harry McCann himself said in 1912, when the truth is told well, it moves people, moves markets and drives impact. So did we set out what we were set out to do? Did we achieve it? There's time for one last lesson, and I'm afraid it is maths. I'm sorry. But we do need to look at the numbers. We can only declare it a truth well told if it resulted in biscuits well sold. I'm sorry, Harry McCann. I think you're probably rolling in your grave. But yeah, into the results.
I think it's your best line, Imogen.
Thank you.
Luckily, our mischievous plan, it really worked. We set ourselves a target of 20%. We absolutely smashed it with 28%. We brought loads more households into the brand. So for a brand that's been around for nearly 70 years, we brought 2 million households in a year. And that change wasn't Jammie, right? It's everything that you've just heard about. Those changes in buying behavior came because we raised awareness, we improved our scores on modernity, on jamminess. Hopefully what we did, we opened a few eyes up to the brand and started building an everlasting love for Jammie Dodgers.
And we picked up a few little school rosettes along the way, just over here. So System 1 gave it ad of the week. It got incredible System 1 scores, actually, for what is actually quite a low category biscuits, to say you would have thought that they'd do quite well. But yeah, it did incredibly well there. System 1 again with ITV run the nation's favourite ads in the UK announcement at the end of every year. They awarded Jammie the new and returning advertiser. The Grocer gave us Biscuit Campaign of the Year, and we were super excited that the Effies, we were nominated in 2025 and we're a finalist. So it's super exciting, super proud for that. So by finding the truth and telling it well, Jammie Dodgers were absolutely back to doing what they do best, creating mischief in the category, in comms and in culture. And if anybody caught this a couple of days ago, now even Kylie Jenner knows our name, although I think she might be horrified.
Timothy and Kylie, can I interest you in a packet of scampi fries? Yeah? Maybe, Kylie, have you ever had your gums around a giant Jammie Dodger? You have now, darling.
If anyone from Scampy Fries is here, we've just decided maybe that's our new next collaboration. Things that surprise.
She's so not eating that Jammie Dodger. Which gives us our fifth and final learning, that fun can be seriously effective. If you do the rigour and the smarts up front, you've got all your maths and your science in order, you've uncovered the truth and you've told it well, then you can be seriously unserious, you can have a whole load of mischief and create a whole load of impact. Which just leaves us time for one last lesson, which I think I heard a lot growing up, which actually I think might have been a lie. But you won't get in trouble as long as you tell the truth. Just make sure you tell it well.
So thanks for your time today. Okay.
Thanks, guys. That was absolutely brilliant. And what's not to like? We've got free samples, we've got puns, we've got Jammie references.
You've got to know what your audience likes, right?
Absolutely. I think you're winning all the way around. We've got one question from the audience. So, you talked about parenting styles that are on trend keep changing. So, what will you do when embracing mischief is out of favour?
What a great question.
I know.
Want me to answer that?
I feel like, so when we talk about insights, we look for universal truths. And has mischief ever been out of favour? I don't think it would go out of favour. I think the nuance would change. and we'll adapt with that nuance.
Exactly that. The bar for Mischief will just change. What
Yeah.
counts as Mischief will just change.
Yeah, well, you said you changed from Beano to Bluey, so you kind of
Exactly that. Yeah, there'll always be a new type of Mischief. I hope the kids are more mischievous than we were.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, it was a great talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.